Shalom. This time feast country during lesson. First, I want to give us all honor, all praise, and fear to Yahweh, because He's the one that woke us up to the true time. Lesson Bible is going to be is Never Trust Our Enemy, Part 32. Psalms 58:3. Here's Psalms 58:3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. We'll go again. Psalms 58:3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Turn it down. Some informative stuff.
On the surface, Little Nightmares appears to be a fantasy horror game in which we assume the role of a young girl in a yellow raincoat known as Six. Throughout her adventure, Six makes her way through the depths of a prison known as the Maw. A grim environment full of grotesque, monstrous-looking humanoids before eventually facing off against a mysterious woman known simply as the Lady. But there is more to this game than meets the eye, and so in this video, we take a look at the hidden meaning behind Little Nightmares. Not theorizing so much about the story of the game, but rather what it all symbolizes. Its deeper meaning. You see, game developers often design their stories as a political or social commentary, and I believe Little Nightmares is a metaphor for the child slave trade in third world countries, specifically sweatshops. What are sweatshops? These are factories designed to produce items such as clothing for more affluent first world countries at low costs. They employ child workers from a very young age to work long, hard hours for very little benefit, so their products can be sold overseas at low prices. These work conditions are often very poor and dangerous for the children involved. And while conditions are not as
personally, I think this is still happening. Continue.
Bad as they used to be, where children were often homeless and forced to live in workhouses simply to have a roof over their heads, they are still deplorable work environments. Of course, Little Nightmares may also touch on other aspects of slavery, such as human trafficking, but in order to stay focused, we'll use...
This is gonna happen to the Amalekites. Post Jacob's trouble.
Sweatshop analogy for much of this video. So, with the basics explained, let's dive into this theory with a look at the world of Little Nightmares and the characters which inhabit it. Let us begin with a basic overview of the disgusting appearance of the game's enemy character designs. Each of the enemy's 6 encounters, from the jailer to the cooks to the lady herself upon removing her mask, and the bloated customers who board the ship to banquet, all have the same horrifying look. An easy explanation for this is simply
Illuminati symbol. That's a wicked eye. Illuminati symbol.
Have been involved in the exploitation of children for personal gain, and I'll go into detail on this later on. Their vile appearance symbolizes their wicked morals, sinful acts, and evil souls. It is a visual representation of all the atrocities they have committed. This also explains the mystery of the hanging man. Notice how he looks the most human out of everyone. This is because he has a conscience. He had a good soul at heart and could not stand being involved in the exploitation of these child workers any longer, and so he took his own life, thus retaining his human form.
If you do that, I said for the attitude, you're probably gonna face a severe judge, heavy judge in front of Most High. I don't think it's up to you to kill yourself.
At Kroger, you can get personalized coupons on...
Concept in mind, let us take a detailed look at the main events of the game,
especially Punch, you do something like that.
Into our theory for today. When we first load up the game, Six experiences a nightmare in which she sees a blurry vision of a lady in a white mask. She then wakes up in an impoverished setting, sleeping inside an old suitcase. This is our first piece of evidence to support today's theory. We see the ringleader of the slave trade and...
Out there, man, remember that that's just a guess.
Then transition right
Nothing
to
more.
A shot of a child waking up in a room which could easily represent a poor third world setting. Now it's important to note that this is the beginning of Six's descent into hell, and this hell represents her years as a child surviving the horrors of slavery. Keep this in mind as we continue. It isn't long before Six comes across a room full of other children, all sleeping in very basic looking beds. This room looks strikingly similar to the sleeping quarters of an old orphanage or poorhouse. These kinds of places were used by factory owners to recruit.
One and behold there, what that one gives all honor, all praise, and fear to Yahweh, because he's the one that works his truth. And with that, Shalom.